Hello and welcome to episode number 50 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim, and today we're talking about how to effectively play against the table full of D-bags.
So I knew that was coming, and I knew it was going to be funny, but the moment it left your lips, I'm like, dude. All right, welcome to episode number 50. Oh, wow, that was probably like one of the best intros we've had.
That was great.
So thanks for watching or listening or however you consume this content. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. Before we get into the episode, we want to take a moment to tell you about Audible.com. Hey, you listen to audiobooks? If you don't, you totally should. Because when you're not listening to this podcast, what are you listening to? Definitely check out Audible.com. For right now, actually, this is pretty much always going on, but if you head over to audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness, again, that's audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial and get a free audiobook. That's right, a free audiobook that is yours to keep forever. Last week, I told you about I think it's one of the great science fiction series of all time, We Are Bob. In fact, I was thinking today, I'm like, I need to get back into that. I think I have like one book left in that series. I need to know how it ends. And I tell you what, once you start that series, you will not want to stop. Definitely you will not want to put that book down. 100%. So definitely head on over to audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness. Again, audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness to get your free 30-day trial and to pick up one free book that you can hang on to forever. So, definitely head on over there. I totally recommend checking out We Are Bob. Fantastic book series. All right. So today we're talking about how to play against a table full of D-bags.
Yep.
So if you didn't catch it, a couple of weeks ago, Jim and I played Here to Slay. Now, Here to Slay is one of those games. Well, first of all, Here to Slay, if you're not familiar, we've got a few videos on that game. Head over to our YouTube channel. You can check those out. But it is made by a company called Unstable Games. They're behind the game Unstable Unicorns. And what they really like to do is, and honestly, they make some amazing games, but they take like the simplest strategic ideas, right, and turn them into amazing card games. Now, I think a lot of their games are designed for larger groups, like 4 or 5 players. Mm-hmm. You can still play these games 2 players, but after playing a lot of matches of these games really shine in multiplayer scenarios, like 4 to 5 players. It's not that they falter in 2-player, but
there's definitely problems, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's like I have a hard time saying it's a problem. It's just it's a different experience. Yeah. There you go. It's a very different experience.
I more so mean because like when someone's already winning, then they start to win even more.
Yeah, it just snowballs.
It seems like.
Yeah,
it's super snowbally.
And that's been like basically every game that we've played. It's been super snowbally. Yeah. In different ways, too, in very much different ways. So the video that I'm referencing, so Jim won, and he won. I don't want to say he won by screwing me over, but he screwed me over, essentially.
In the process.
Yeah. In the process, screwing me over, which, and by that, I mean, he basically locked me out of the game. Yeah. He prevented me from playing. Now, I got salty, right? Now, for those who know me, I can get salty playing games.
I love this video so much.
I can get salty playing games. And 100% of the time, it's all harmless. It's all in good fun. But in the moment, it's not. That's probably the best thing I can say about it. Yeah. But like I will verbalize it and say, you suck. Let me have fun, gosh darn it. You're a terrible person. In not so many words. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
That's definitely what happened. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was interesting, right? Because at the end of that game, so at the end of that video, we were basically talking about it, and I was just yelling at him. And honestly, it was all in good fun. It really was all in good fun. But after we turned the camera off, we had a longer discussion about it. And so it kind of got me thinking, because through a lot of the things that I was saying, right? I was saying, dude, I am not having fun, right? I'm not having fun. What you're doing to me is taking away from my enjoyment of the game. And honestly, and I'll kind of get into this in a little bit, but I was saying a lot of I, me. I'm like, dude, you sound like a dick. Saying me, right? Yeah. Me, like I'm the one who sounds like a total D-bag in that moment, right? Because the way that I was viewing this situation was, man, you've got multiple different things you can be doing, right? But you are choosing to do the one thing that really is taking away from my ability to actually play the game and therefore kind of have fun in playing the game, right? Now, and even then, I really don't feel like there was anyone who was right or who was wrong. There were just varying different views and opinions.
Well, at that exact moment, you were like, I'm pretty sure I'm right. What do you guys think?
Yeah, right, yes.
But afterwards, and thinking about it now,
we both were right.
Yeah,
is kind of what I was trying to say. Like, the viewpoints were correct. We're right. Like, I'm trying to have fun. You're trying to have fun. But in that moment, like, the way I wanted to have fun directly collided with the way you wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
Which tell everybody what you're I don't want to say you're an interesting player, but you have a very specific play style, basically.
Yeah,
and that clashes kind of with my play style, really.
A bit.
Yeah, so talk about that for a minute. Yeah.
Kind of a lot. So for me, I really like to make it hard for people inside these games, whether it's now taking things from you or destroying what you have inside these games. And that's pretty much what I did to Dan. I made it to where he had literally no creatures out on board, or none of these heroes. I forget exactly what they're called. The little heroes out on board. And he wasn't able to do anything the entire game. When he would play a card to then get an effect, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, it would then go to my turn, and then I instantly destroy it.
Now, part of my problem I had that game was the dice are heavily involved in this game, and I could not roll anything very high.
That's another factor.
Yeah, which was, again, going through watching that video, I'm like, dude, I could not hit anything, which, like, if you're easily triggered,
dice games aren't
don't
for
play
you,
a dice game.
Like, statistically, I got it this time.
And dude, like, watching that stuff is hilarious.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, as I'm watching it, yes, I'm seeing on screen, I am not having a very good time. But me watching it, I'm dying laughing because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and it's not just this game; it's card games in general. And then in like pretty much any board game, I'm allowed to kind of screw someone over. I will attempt to take that path.
Why is that? Like, can you even answer that?
So
like,
I think it really comes down to like my MMOs in general as well. So I tend to play a support, right? But my favorite thing to do is apply damage over time effects and watch them slowly drain the life from them and weaken them over time.
Guys, he is so evil.
So it's one of my favorite things to do in these games. I'm like, oh, I put 7 damage over times or dot effects on you. And then we slowly watch you take damage every like second or 2 seconds, whatever it is. And at that point, since you're not doing a lot of damage to someone, they have a lot of time to be then correcting themselves and like taking you out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start to bring in the control aspect as well.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like removing what you can do. I'm slowing you down while you're now taking this damage over time. I am now running away from you. So now it takes you even longer to then get to me.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, it's making it to where I'm not killing you as fast in these games, but I'm slowly getting the advantage over you until I can get to that point where I do just win.
Right. Yeah. You know, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, I'm pretty evil in these games. Man.
you totally are. Yeah. But it's like super interesting too. It like, I always think, you know, we've been playing modern, a lot of modern, the modern format for Magic. We've got some tournaments coming up, and one thing that I've noticed is there's so many decks that are kind of in right now for modern, right? So deck diversity is a big thing when you talk about card games and the meta game, right? Yep. So deck diversity is huge, meaning there's different play styles. Like, you're a very different play style from me. So it's always keeping what we're doing interesting for me because, like, I might know kind of what to expect, but it's something that I'm definitely not doing. Yeah. And so keeping it very interesting for me. So, so what we wanted to do was we had that conversation, and, like, I wanted to turn it into a podcast topic because there's a lot of things that we kind of talked about that honestly, like, I'm hoping can help other people. Mm-hmm. And like, I had some realizations that I kind of want to just get out there and like let other people know. So we've got a couple of points that we
real quick before we continue. So we went over how I like to play games.
Yes.
Let's go over how you like to play games.
So for the most part, I want everybody to leave me alone. And I just want to build my engine and combo off, and then boom, that's kind of it. A lot of the times, like, I like to play mid-rangey lists or combo decks, something to where I have an engine going, and I don't want I don't want anyone to interact with me. And for the most part, I normally don't like interacting with other players. I just want to be able to do my thing, get it done quick, and then win, and then basically be done with it. Like, I kind of want the ability in what I'm doing to, if I see someone else is going to be able to do their thing before me, to kind of halt their progress. But at the same time, I don't want anyone doing anything with my stuff, right? Which is super counterintuitive and literally makes no sense. I get it. I get it. Trust. I know. But that it's just my play style. And like,
that's why Dan likes Pokemon so much.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Oh, there's like nothing you can do on my turn. All right, sure. Yeah. Sign me up.
Right. So, it's like finding your play style is like, it's a whole other topic that I kind of want to dive into at some point. But that's just what I found. That's kind of my thing. I've really found that I can play control decks or control type games, but like, my style is very eclectic. Like, I can do anything. Like, I enjoy doing a lot of stuff, but for the most part, I want to engine build. Like, in my card games, like, I want to get my engine. Boom. Okay, now I'm really going off here, and that's why I think those mid-range lists really lend to my play style a little bit more. So, yeah, that's just kind of what I found. So, so kind of going off of that, we want to touch on a few topics here, points, and then kind of dive into them a little bit more, and then kind of help everyone else out, and kind of talk about the things that we kind of, mostly I realized, but Jim as well. So the first thing, and what to do when playing against a table full of D-bags. The first thing is, and this informs a lot, is know your setting. Now, it's obvious this is super dependent, right? Because there's so many things like that go into your setting, right? Are you playing casually or are you playing competitively? Go back to our episode when we talk about casual and competitive, right? Like, that can be anything. Are you playing a tournament or are you not? Like, if you're playing a tournament, okay, then all that really matters, like, you having fun isn't really a factor, right? I would hope you're having fun because, like, But I don't know. Like, you may be like, I hate this, but I'm doing it because I need to try and win some money or whatever the case may be. Like, I want to win the prize, right? That could be a factor for you. But again, if you're playing in a tournament setting, most likely all that really matters is winning. I'm not really concerning myself with having fun. I'm concerning myself with winning. Are you playing in a casual setting? Okay. What kind of casual setting? You playing with a bunch of your buddies and it's like cutthroat? Because I mean, we've talked about Monopoly
or
before.
Family members that just like take it really seriously.
Right. It really does all come down to, because I'm sure we all know, we all have a setting that is can be considered casual, but it's one of the most cutthroat.
Oh yeah.
You got one do you have one in mind?
Normally, so I've tend to grown out of it because I'm just like, I don't care how cutthroat they're trying to be with it. I know they're just casual players.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I would rather have them have fun. And if it makes it to where I get to the point where, all right, I do win, I'm definitely talking poop. You know, I'm a big poop talker.
So anytime oh boy.
Anytime Dan gets together with anyone, it's always cutthroat. So
no, and it's so a friend of the show, Michael, my brother-in-law, anytime we've gotten together.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me.
Dude, we
could be playing a casual game and he's going to be like, well, I won because I used less cards than you, so it actually took me less resources to do the same work you did. Or it would be, well, you know, sure, we defeated the Marvel legendary bosses, but I did the most damage. I got the most victory points.
So the funny thing with Michael, right, my brother-in-law, Michael, if you're listening or watching this, I love you, man. It's all right, I love you. But maybe you've encountered this as well. Okay, Michael and I, we are like two peas in a pod. We are like the same person. Yeah. Talk to my wife. She will tell you, she will testify to this. We are both engineers. Mm-hmm. We both think very analytically. Mm-hmm. We are very much the same person. Okay. So this is going to sound kind of weird, but it's, when we're together and we're playing something like that, it's like you're mixing oil and water. Mm-hmm. Like it ain't happening. It's not gonna work.
You're mixing oil and fire.
So what I have learned to do, and honestly, this kind of all started for me when starting all this hobbies and happiness stuff, was because I used to be so cutthroat in like literally everything. I used to be so competitive in everything that I did. Was to pull back on it and just worry more about, again, in the settings to where it's not a tournament, it's not really I want to win. Mm-hmm. It's if I'm together with somebody and the goal is we just want to play a game and kind of have fun. If I'm in a situation like with Michael, who's very similar to me, to just let him kind of take over, right? Because like our personalities are, and you can definitely testify to this, but our personalities are such that if something's going on, I'm going to speak up and I will say, this is how you do it. This is actually what you're supposed to do. So when you have two people speaking up and trying to show someone else what they need to be doing, it's not going to work so well, right? So I have learned to, when I'm in a situation with someone else like that, to, okay, I'll let you can take over. Whether or not I think you're right or wrong, that has nothing to do with it. Yeah. It's more so you want to take over and try and show someone else how to do it. Let it be. Let them do it. I feel like I do feel like I've gotten a little bit better at that over the past couple of years or so. And honestly, it's been fairly recent. It's taken me a while to get there. But again, I have to know, I have to be able to know who I'm dealing with, right? If it's something to where I'm in a situation to where I'm playing with somebody who I've got no idea who they are, that's a different, where I gotta be like, all right, I gotta be like on guard almost from the standpoint of, I want to have my reflectors up and know, okay, let's figure out as soon as I can who these people are
Yeah.
and like what their personalities are like, to where if there's someone else like that, let them take control and not try to overstep and then make them feel like, upset or anything.
Yeah.
And it's always different with family too.
Yeah.
It really
I have noticed where I'm like, I'm already a pretty passive person when it comes to a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then like, especially when I go into a new gaming group, I'm always just like, I'll let everyone else talk. If they ask me something, okay, I respond. I pay more attention to what it is they're doing inside these games and like the kind of person that they are.
Right.
And there was actually one moment I was really thinking of. Do you remember that night I told you about of the dungeon mayhem for 7 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So after we played a few games with some of my cousins, and then we started getting into the larger group.
Okay.
My one cousin was extremely excited about the game.
Okay.
And all the new people that were coming into it, he was like explaining everything, telling like all the different cards, like what they could be doing, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I'm just like, sure.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it over.
I'll allow it.
Even though I literally just taught you this game. I know you understand it.
Right,
And I just let him take it over until like there was something he didn't remember exactly or confused on, or it was just wrong. I'm like, okay, now I'll step in, let the person know, and then also correct what it was.
And like a
saying.
situation like that, it's what it sounds like is that person was really excited.
Yeah.
And like they were genuinely excited and they wanted to get other people into this, right?
Yeah.
And they were doing something that they enjoyed. And like honestly, like with Michael, with my brother-in-law, he's like very much the same way. Like he likes to, I don't want to say take charge, but explain. Like if anytime, it's gotten to the point now to where if anytime we're playing a game that we need to go over the rule book, he's always the first person to grab that rule book and go through it and then explain it.
Yeah.
And like I was that too, but like I know he likes to do it. So I'm like, go ahead. Like you can go ahead, go through it, and then you can be the one explaining it. That way I can just sit back, chill, relax. I know like if I have questions, like playing with him too is also kind of nice too, because then I'm like, I know if I have questions, hey Michael, what's how does this work or what does this do?
Yeah.
Like let me check. He'll go do it, but he enjoys that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like stepping back and letting other people who are excited and like they want to do something, let them do it. Like let them. So like I think it's easier to do that with family because like you're in that setting to where the setting is more forgivable, right? Because your family is always your family.
Yeah.
Like you can't escape that for the most part, right? So like if you do something that upsets them, okay, yeah, you'll stay mad at each other for a little bit, but eventually you'll get over it. I would hope at some point you'll get over it, right?
I'd assume so, yeah.
Yes, right. So like in that setting, you have that kind of forgivability from the standpoint of, okay, well, I messed up. I'm going to get another opportunity to try and fix it and then try again and see if, but you don't have that in other relationships with people who are not your family.
Yeah.
Like if you mess something up, you could burn a bridge for forever.
Yeah. And it's sometimes not even just like a first impression of someone. It could be like you've been playing games for a bit, but then there's that one day, that one night that you're just all right. So we go back to that Here to Slay game, right? Like if you were like that with other people, even if you were playing games for like a few months or something, but they're still new to you. A lot of people are.
You're saying people that are new to me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like you're still new to that group as a whole.
Yeah, right.
And then like that came out one night, they'd be like, we're not inviting that dude ever again.
And then the flip side and that same thing of how I acted, also kind of how you're playing.
Yeah.
You got to think about that too.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm a new player, let's just say that we have that same scenario, right? And I genuinely felt that way on the inside, but I wasn't expressing that on the outside, right? But Jim was just really targeting me and not letting me play the game. If I'm a new player of that group, I may not come back
Yeah.
because of that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Same
But
thing.
because we have this relationship, like we know each other, like he goes to screw me. He tries to screw me over on stuff a lot of the times. Right. And a lot of the times, to be honest with you, I view it as a challenge
Yeah.
of, I know he's going to do
I
this.
always think of it as a challenge.
Yes, for sure. Right. Like, so in this setting, like we know how to deal with each other. Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, that game, I'm not going to lie, I had fun. Like, even though I was saying I didn't, it wasn't fun in the moment. But it was a fun experience. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I had a ton of fun editing that video. I was laughing my butt off.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, man, I'm having so much fun with this. I really hope other people are gonna like it.
And after that video, we were also talking about how, like people will take the exact same experience the game style that someone's playing. So the exact same thing that I was doing to you, right? And then we saw how Dan was taking it at that time. And afterwards, I was telling Dan, I'm like, I've been in the same situations where in these card games, when I'm playing something and someone's playing a control deck against me, I'm always like super fascinated.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how is this working? Like, what cards are these? I want to get some of these cards as well. And it's like, okay, and now how is there anything in my deck that I have or any possible lines that I could do to get me out of this situation?
And that's how you need to think as a strategic card game player. Like when you're in those matches, that's literally how you need to think of how to get out of it. Right. But normally if I'm in that situation, like what you were saying about you're fascinated by it. Normally, if I'm in that match, that's not how I view it. But I am fascinated if I am a spectator.
Right,
if I'm
right.
spectating it, that's when I'm like, oh, dude, this is so cool. This is crazy. But if I'm in it, my mind is just, okay, how can I get out of this? And like, I'm thinking about my lines, and that's pretty much all I'm thinking about normally. Yeah. So honestly, guys, like this, know your setting, and like that is going to, it's going to kind of lead through everything else in that scenario is your setting. So you start there, right?
So one other thing, right? I've been on both sides of this coin. When I first got into playing Commander, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even really know that it was a multiplayer format.
Okay.
My friend taught me like how it works and like got me some cards. And then the first person I versed, this dude just like mopped the floor with me. Like he knew I was new at this game.
1v1?
Yeah, it was a 1v1.
Okay.
And he was pretty much playing a control deck as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And mind you, I'm still new to Magic at this time as well.
Right.
And so he just like completely stomped me, and I'm just like, I don't want to play this again. And like after that day, I never talked to that dude again.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he rarely showed up to the shop ever again. And so, but then it was like I've also been on the other side of that where it's, I know people are brand new to the game. I've been in a lot of standard tournaments at Grapple, and we had a lot of younger players. I know some of them were new. There was one kid who would come in there probably like once every few months with his grandmother. And, there was one night at Standard, and we were playing a game against each other. I pretty much threw one match to him.
Yeah.
Making it go into game 3, and then all the other small kids at the shop like crowded around, right? And so like they were all excited, like we were going like through. It was probably like on the 10th turn or something like that, and there was something I could have done to like stop him, but I was like, you know what? I think it's going to make a much better story when I'm like, I can't do anything. Yeah. And then later on, his grandma was like, thank you so much for that. So like that entire night, the kid was a legend.
There you go. Like, and honestly, like for what we want to do with Hobbies and Happiness, like we want to have we're going to have an LGS at some point. Right. Yeah. And so when we get people like that to come into our shop, and to come in the store, if we have new players, we don't want to push them away. We want them to have a good time. Yeah. So honestly, if we're sitting down to play with them, the top priority is them have fun so they come back.
Yep.
Right. And it's not about them coming back to spend money at our store, right? That's not what it's about. It's about them having a great time so they come into this hobby and they have an amazing time. Like that starts with know your setting. Like you got to step back. Okay, who's playing? What's their goal? What do they want to do here? What am I trying to do here? It starts there. Okay. But that Jim's story leads perfectly into my next point that I wanted to point out here. Be selfless, not selfish. Be selfless, not selfish. Now, you'd think that's counterintuitive when we're talking about gaming and we're playing so we can have fun, right? But again, this also goes back to knowing your setting, right? If now again, know the setting. If we're talking about a tournament, okay, it's kind of out the window, right? Because that's not your goal. Your goal is to win. That's it. Okay. I think you still need to have a good attitude, be a good sport, all of that. But this mostly applies to every other scenario, every other circumstance. Okay. Think about the other person, not yourself. So like I was saying earlier, when I was saying I'm not having a good time, basically me. I was straight up being selfish, right? But honestly, the moment Jim said, Dan, that's not how I have fun. Like what he was doing was fun for him.
Yeah.
Like who am I to say, well, I don't care. Because what you're doing directly flies in the face of me having fun.
Yeah.
Right? And so you honestly, I don't think you should do that. Like, yes, you do want to have fun, but I think you will find much more like true satisfaction through
more
others.
Yeah,
more fulfillment through your friends and through other people at the table, right? And I mean, like that story, like was perfect. Like you probably felt really good after that.
yeah, it was great.
Like you lost.
I could have won a pack. I could have won another pack. Man, come on. I lost $4.
Like look at the end goal. Like is it really worth a pack? Yeah. Like is that win really worth a pack? Okay. Or, like if you take that W, you could potentially ruin a relationship or a potential relationship, okay, that you never got to see through because you decided to take something away from somebody else.
Now, if that kid was a more regular person to the shop, and I for sure knew that they were a big poop talker, right? I'm like, I'm winning this no matter what. I'm not letting, which is exactly why, a lot of the people or a lot of the smaller kids at that time, they were like, oh my goodness, this was the first small kid to beat Jim in like a game 3 or something. So yeah, because all the other ones were pretty much regulars. So.
Yeah, right. So I've got something here. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And honestly, like that goes with how you're playing, but also more so your attitude, right? Like if somebody is not letting you do your thing, like, okay, like it's not a big deal. Okay. Honestly, that whole video was just, it was a lot of fun and then just playing up to like everything, like playing the room, essentially playing up to stuff. But like I said, at the end of the day, we're friends. And like, I don't know if I said it in the video, but I remember saying it. I just don't know when I said it, but it was, nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
Like I'm not changing. He's not changing. And like our relationship isn't going to change either. But like I was able to think long and hard about those conversations because like, honestly, an experience like that could really mess up a relationship.
Oh, for
sure. Like it really, really could.
Yeah.
Like if I honestly thought that, and like held on to that could have really messed something up. But I think you like get your priorities straight.
Or also if I just took it more personally.
Yeah.
They could just be like, all right, well, I mean,
Like
I
both,
guess
like
we
both,
might have
like
to cut ties or
both of
something.
us.
Yeah.
Like he could have taken what I said personally, and I could have really taken how he was playing personally too.
Yeah.
It's like what we said earlier about the whole play group thing. But honestly, and like, and these things have happened often enough, right? But it's Jim's like, well, I know Dan. That's Dan, and I'm like, I know Jim. That's just Jim.
Sounds about right.
It really does. But it honestly, at the end of the day, it's all about having a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're not going to get into these situations if you're worrying, if you're being selfless, if you're thinking about the other person and other people at the table. Most likely, you're not going to get into these. Most likely, you're not 100%.
Yeah. It's not 100.
No, not 100%. But most likely, you'll not get into those situations. Because, and we've had plenty of games to where like since then he's beat me a couple times in some other games, and like a lot of times it's like, holy cow, how did you do that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like not thinking about whether or not I'm winning or losing, but. Like again, as card game players, the cards on the table and what's happening, those interactions.
Yeah.
Like worrying about that.
I was gonna say, is Spirit Duel going up by the time this is?
So by the time this is live, our full playthrough of Spirit Duels will be live.
Okay,
yes.
all right, and we've talked about Spirit Duels
Duels?
before,
Yeah.
and it was like the first game we played, and I saw you just absolutely zap the heck out of me.
you. Yeah,
I was just like a turn one. I'm like, oh goodness, I feel like I'm just gonna lose this game.
So in our
then
full,
it's slowly
our full playthrough, okay, so yeah, it'll be live at this point. So when you killed my spirit turn one,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I know.
what? I was so taken aback, and like I got screwed over, obviously, because you just killed my guy.
Yeah.
But I was more left with awe and like, holy cow, how'd you do that? That's crazy.
Tai Chomp's broken, man.
Yeah,
That's why.
But that was all of them.
Yeah,
that was all of your
Yeah,
guys.
But him going to 3 damage is really what set that up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the fact that you could do that, I'm like, oh, dude, I just got shellacked.
Yeah.
But it made that rest of the game super interesting.
Yeah,
But the
for
fact
sure.
that you did that that you had the
Turn one.
ability to do that turn one, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, that's
it was
crazy.
nuts. It was nuts.
There were a few times in that game where I was blown away. Like I had a lot of fun with that game.
Yeah.
Daniel did a fantastic. I think Daniel nailed it.
Yeah.
Daniel knocked that game out of the park. And I'm
Super good.
super great
good.
game, right?
It's honestly, I'd probably put that on like for sure a top 10 games for me
Of all time?
of just like stuff that I've played. Like I would put it on my top 10 favorite games
Oh wow.
for me to play.
Wow.
I don't think it makes the top 5 because like I got some
Yeah.
pretty good stuff on
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
But maybe who knows? Maybe one day if I have like a lot better experiences with the game, bringing more people into it as well, it could go to top 5.
Yeah, no, it was like to be honest, like people were saying a lot of things about Star Wars Destiny about that game. It's making me want to try and get that game somehow because I know it's dead. But
There's singles.
yeah,
everywhere.
they're singles and dice. Yeah. But yeah. So again, I want to bring this all back. Okay, I want to bring this back. Be selfless, not selfish, especially with your friends, guys. Like, think about the experiences your friends are having. Like in our example here. Like, and I told Jim this. I'm like, dude, I want you to be having fun. If you're not having a good time, if I don't care if I'm having a good time, right? Because it's not I don't want it to be about that. Like, I want you to be having a good time. Like, if we're doing something and you're not having a good time, then we gotta fix something. We gotta switch something up, right? So be selfless. Think about your friends, right? Think about the table. Make the table have a good time, right? If I'm playing a game with my wife, okay, obviously a different relationship altogether, and there's relationship dynamics, sure. But what I want to say is, if I need a partner to play a game with, and I say, hey, can you play this game with me? And she plays it one time and hates it because I'm poop talking or whatever the case may be. If I ask her to play that game again, think she can want to play it? Probably not.
Probably not.
So in that situation, I'm thinking about the other person, but I'm also thinking about my future ability to play the game, right?
Right.
So there's some words of wisdom for you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing that I wanted to point out here, because I think this is super important. I use this. This informs like everything I do, right? And it's a simple question, right? Know your why. Like, what is your why? So, what is your why? Okay. Now we're applying that to gaming. Okay. We're applying, why are you playing this game? If you're playing it if you're playing it to have fun, okay. You got to answer your question. How do you have fun? Like we just talked about at the beginning of this, how Jim likes to have fun with these card games, how I like to have fun with the card games. And really they are diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
no. What I should say is his is diametrically opposed to me. Okay, because my enjoyment is really not dependent upon anyone else.
Yeah.
But Jim's directly is.
Yeah.
Okay. His is directly dependent upon my participation. Okay. So in that situation, the onus really is on me then. Okay. Because he's the one who's impeding on my ability to do my thing, whatever my thing is. Right.
Yeah.
So that now comes to, okay, I now have a choice. Okay. And honestly, this is kind of the concept of a metagame, right? I now have a choice. How do I respond to that? Okay. In two ways, like attitude wise, but then also gameplay wise, right? Do I just let him do it and then just complain about it? Or do I respond? I want to say in kind, but because that's the only thing that I can think to say, but it really kind of is in kind. Like if you're counterspelling me, okay, what am I going to do to stop you from doing your thing? Like you have your win con. Like in that Here to Slay game, okay, I still contend Jim had his win con. It was not his win condition. It was a win condition. My whole what I was trying to say in that whole thing was there were multiple win conditions. Yeah. He was only choosing to go after one of those win conditions, which it's still a win condition, right? And so he was saying his win con. It's not his win con. It's one. It's one of a couple.
It was definitely mine.
Right. So, so the onus then is on me. Like, how am I going to respond to that? But this really kind of is the concept of a metagame, right? Because I know what you're going to do. Okay. You know what I'm going to do. So with that information, how am I going to approach this game and then stop you to do your thing? Yeah. Like that really is the concept of a metagame. Like it's the game within the game.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Jim and I have our own thing within the larger game of Here to Slay. Right. Which are, when in a game like that, there's not much you can do other than respond to the cards that you draw and what's essentially on board, basically.
Because like the game would have been completely different if I wasn't even able to get half of those cards that I was playing to like control you, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been
Turn
like,
one.
That was so good.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
When I went back and edited it, I'm like, when I realized, I'm like, holy, that was turn one. He had both of those cards.
It was from turn one. I was just able to get so much advantage.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, well, if say I got other cards that were like, oh, I get to draw and then like add plus numbers to my die roll, to like slowly build up my board state rather than messing with Dan's. It would have just been like, all right, well, I'm going to do that and then this. A little bit of spoilers. And then it'd be like, all right, well, I can't interact with Dan, so I'm just going to target one of these things that he might like or I might like, and it'll just be, all right, I kill 3, and then someone wins the game. I'm just like, all right, it's a thing to do.
Yeah, right. It's not the most interesting thing.
It's not the thing I want to do.
Right. But like that's honestly the appeal to you of something to where there's multiple ways of playing it. Like you're given that leeway of, okay, I can do this. I'm going to do the thing that I have more fun doing.
For sure.
Right. And so like me, it's so interesting because I'm in Here to Slay. My whole thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to slay the monster.
Yeah. And I'm trying to slay my opponents.
Right, right. And so like it's interesting too because like that's a game to where I've seen a lot of house rulings of a lot of people in a 2-player setting. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, you have to do both objectives.
Right.
You have to slay 3, but you also have to have a full party as well.
Yeah.
So that's like house rules are always a thing. You can always make things more interesting.
Yeah.
I
also think that's one reason you like Villainous a lot more than me. Is because you're like, sure, there's a way to interact with your opponent, but it's not like very consistent. You don't know exactly what you're going to get to like stop them.
Right.
And so, and you're also just like getting to your objective. So it could be whatever random thing.
Yeah.
You're
trying
get the
to do your
Titans
thing.
to Olympus,
Right.
whatever
Right.
it is.
Right.
So,
And that's also why you like Marvel Villainous way more. But I love Marvel as well. Like honestly, I might like Marvel more too because I think I just enjoy that game more. The IP, everything. But the thing that I love more about Villainous is just the thematics and the feeling I get of really controlling that particular villain. But no, like that's a totally valid point. Excuse me. Yeah. So yeah, it's going through that video from an editing standpoint, and then just thinking about the conversations that we were having. Like, it brought me back to also when we played Unfair, which we're gonna play at some point on the channel, because that game is fun. The game's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But like something similar came up then. This was
a few months ago.
No, it's about a year ago. I feel like it's about a year ago.
Oh,
it was in 2020. It was early 2021.
Oh, that's right.
It was early 2021 when we played that. We had a similar thing come up. It's I don't even think I have it documented or anything because it was just like we didn't record it.
Yeah.
We just played it just to play it just to see. That was the first time we played the game, I think. But we had a similar situation come up to where I'm trying to just build my park.
Yeah.
And Jim,
like
he was
building. He was pwning me the entire game.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
You were pwning me the entire game.
Because I'm laser focused at like building the best theme park I can.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, because I tend to never think like this.
Yes, right.
And I'm just like, and like some of the cards that we're getting from the deck and the unfair cards or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like the events, I think.
Yeah. So then you eventually get some cards that allow you to mess with the opponent. And it got to the last turn. I just unloaded on Dan. Dan got to do like nothing that turn.
Nothing.
And I think I barely won because of that. I think it was like very low.
I can't remember how
difference.
close it was, but I do remember you won.
Yeah. It was extremely close. And I'm like, there's no way I would have won if I didn't control you out of the game that entire turn.
Correct. And I got super salty.
Yeah.
I got really salty after that. I got so salty. But like the other thing,
man, I like this game now.
And honestly, like, I lost that game. Dude, that game is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah, it was
so
really good.
like we will play it at some point on the channel. I want to have videos on it.
Yeah, let's just fast forward to like the last turn.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to do that build again.
But like that's a game to where like there's something there where I can build my engine, and like if you just want to try and control somebody else out of it, like you can do that.
Yeah.
You can straight up do that.
And same thing with what's the other one? Jurassic Dinosaur World?
Dinosaur World.
World. That's another like building your theme park. And there's no way to mess with your opponent.
Yeah, there's zero
way. So we played it at GenCon, with two other friends of ours.
Ryan and Kirby at Specular Games.
Oh, hey guys. And so we played it with them, and they were also pretty good at it. And
Dude,
I don't even know who won.
I don't even know who won either. Yeah. But they when we were setting the game up, they were just like,
"Oh my goodness,
Kirby like took control of that, and she's just
so
like
happy." She's like reading through this book. I'm like, "Can I see that?" I don't want to look at this book. I'm like, I'm not. I even told Dan, I'm like, I'm not reading nothing. I'm like, I'm not reading anything. I'm just picking what I think looks cool.
Yep. she's reading the rule books, and then Ryan's just sitting there like, yep.
Yeah. Yep, and he's like setting
everything up. Dude, it was so funny.
Yeah.
That was
And it wasn't even their game. It was Dan bought it.
Yeah.
And they just like took
they knew about it, and they just took control. I'm like,
they were very excited.
Have at it, guys. That's like that was one where I could tell they were really happy and excited to play it. So I'm like, go to town, guys. Have fun.
And so like when I was playing it, I was at the start, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm like, I already know I'm bad at this game. So then I set it up to where I just tried to kill as many people inside my park. Mind you, killing people in your park gives you negative review.
Negative points. Yep.
And so I ended the game with like negative 90 points or negative 60. And the difference between my points and the highest person was like 190 points. It was stupid. Like like from the first turn, I could have gotten more negative points if that was my goal from the start. But my goal was like, all right, I'm going to try. Shifted. And then I'm like, there's no way I'm going to beat for sure Dan at this kind of game.
Yep. Yeah.
So I knew my win con for me, even though I definitely lost, was just get as many people killed inside the game.
Oh, and he definitely beat everybody else at the table with that one for sure.
I definitely had the highest KDA that game. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that was a time.
You know the funny thing about it is when you go to the specific zone or whatever it's called inside the game, you lose excitement of that area.
Oh yeah, right.
So every time you go there, it'll like lower the excitement by one, and you get fewer points. Mm-hmm. But like in my mind, right, if you're going to a theme park and someone dies at that specific spot, why doesn't excitement get reset? Tell me.
Go up.
Or at least go up one, right? Like it's like, oh,
who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
I'm like, I'm so bored at this one location, but 116 people died here. Like, you're bored here?
You can literally see the bodies.
You could be next. You better be on guard.
Oh, dude. Yeah, needless to say, we had fun with that game.
Yeah, that was fun. That was hilarious.
Oh, man. So, needless to say, what? So, like I said, in editing that video and let's just having that conversation, really got me thinking. And like, dude, I don't want to be the D-bag at the table, right? I want everybody else to have fun, and I don't want to be the reason that somebody else stops playing a game, or or be taking away from the enjoyment of someone else. Okay, like purposefully. Like if I'm knowingly doing that, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So having that conversation and just verbalizing, you are taking this away from me. Like, how does that sound?
Right.
Like listening to that, I'm like, dude, I don't. And so like I tweeted out like being selfless is hard, but necessary. Selfish, that's easy. Being selfish is super easy, but it's 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong thing to do. Like in situations like this, right? So I don't want to do that. Like I want to be the selfless one, and I want everyone else at the table to have a good time, right? I want to find enjoyment, and I want to find that enjoyment through the table, okay? And in card games, you can still do that as well. Like,
for sure.
100%. Sure. And honestly, like even in tournament prepping or whatever, like you know what you're trying to do. And honestly, I really believe a lot of times it just comes down to your attitude.
Yeah.
And you can still lose and have a good time as long as you have a good attitude.
You know, it's like the random times where we're playing Commander and someone wants to do something cool. I'm like, all right, sure, let's see how it goes. And I could easily counter it. Like they're not playing blue.
Because all you play is mono blue.
Like they're not playing blue. Like I could just say no.
Yep.
But like it's so much funnier to be like,
I'll allow it.
All right, sure, why not? Let's see how it goes.
I'll allow it. So to recap, kind of the three things that we said. The first, know the setting. That informs everything else. Know the setting. Be selfless, not selfish. And then know your why. Those they're kind of all over the place a little bit, but they really all three tie together.
Yeah.
They really do all three tie together. And so honestly, guys, I want to help you all have better experiences at the table, right? We want you all to have fun, and we want everyone else at your table to have fun too. But I just caution you and warn you, like, take yourself out of it, right? And that's hard to do when like you're actively, you want to win, like you want to have fun. Okay. But try to find that enjoyment through everyone else, like through your friends. Okay. Think about other people before you think about yourself. And a lot of times I know it's hard. I know it's hard to do, but honestly, you're going to find that you really strengthen your relationships with everyone at your table. And honestly, at the end of the day, like we want to build a community, right? Yeah. And if you're at the table, you want to have that community with everyone around the table, right? And so the way you do that is by thinking about the table over thinking about yourself. So that's kind of what I want to leave you guys with. Like honestly, I'm going to challenge you, like really seek to do that. Seek to do that in your games. And honestly, you will find that you're going to strengthen your relationships with your play group. Yeah. So, and honestly, like I think you'll find greater fulfillment when you do that as well. So, what does that lead us into, Jim?
The card of the week.
All right, card of the week. Dude, I think we're on 9. Dude, I don't know. We're on this week's card of the week. We're just gonna say that this week's card of the week.
Yeah. Do you want to say it or should I say it?
Lightning oh my God!
Oh it's lightning!
We're gonna play that clip again.
Oh yeah,
right here.
He's looking at the top. All right, Char. Char, you. I like the play. The crowd is into it.
Smash it.
What is on top of the deck? What is on top of the deck? Oh, it's Lightning Helix! Oh my God! Oh my God! Greg Jones is through the finals! Oh my God! Oh, he collapses. Craig Jones is jumping up and down.
Oh my goodness, dude. That card.
Yeah.
I finally know what it does. Jim, what does it do?
So this is an instant spell. It costs red and I was about to say yellow. Red and white mana. And
it's from Magic. This is a card from Magic the Gathering.
It's from Magic. And it deals 3 damage to any target, and then it heals you for 3 life. So it's pretty much lifelink on a spell. On a spell.
Yeah. Which there's are there a ton? That? I don't think there's a ton.
Yeah, not a
I don't think there's a lot.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly how many there are, but it can't be too many.
No, I don't think there's a lot at all.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about the infamous that game?
Yeah, so there was a...
Why is this card famous?
I mean, besides it being like one of my favorite cards and one of my favorite decks for Magic the Gathering, there was a moment in Magic's history at a tournament, I believe back in 2005.
Okay.
I believe it was. And there was one guy playing a burn deck, and he had... I don't know if it was a burn deck, but... He was playing Lightning Helix in his main deck, and he was in a finals game against some other dude, and there was one card in his deck that could get him the win in a game 3. And of course, it was Lightning Helix. he didn't even, his opponent just told him, he's like, just turn over the card. Don't even look at it. Just turn it over.
Because everyone knew that that was the card that he needed.
Yep. So what he did was he took it off the top of his deck and flipped it, slammed it over right on the table, and you saw lightning helix. The shoutcasters went nuts.
Everybody
this dude
went
jumped
nuts.
out of his chair.
One of my favorites was the judge. The judge just goes and literally just falls back with his hands over. Oh, dude, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I've replayed that and watched that so many times.
Yeah.
Because it's such a classic moment.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to find out like what was because he had his opponent down to 1, right?
It was 1 to 3. I forget exactly.
Yeah.
And he was on, once it went to his opponent's turn, he lost.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was final turn no matter what happened. So
Yeah.
he flipped over the lightning helix and he got it. He got the win.
Yeah. So if we think about the card in terms of like an analysis, we've talked about lightning bolt, right? 1 mana 3 damage.
Yep.
This is 2 mana 3 damage. But
also
also gain 3 life. So that's kind of different, just 6-point differential almost, right?
Exactly.
Well, not almost. It is. It
yeah.
is. It straight up is. So yeah, I'm trying to. So I think I've got it here. When was it printed? Was it printed? Iconic Masters.
That's definitely not it.
No, it was printed in quite a few prints. It looks like this is
Ravnica.
the first one. Was it Ravnica?
Yeah, that's Ravnica's.
Yeah, that's Ravnica. Yep.
Cool.
Ravnica, City of Guilds.
One of the best sets.
Yeah. So
I guess like all 3 of them are pretty much the best.
So,
some of the best sets.
so the first printing, the flavor text on it, though less well known than its army of soldiers, the Boros Legion's mage priests are as respected by the innocent as they are hated by the ghosts of the guilty.
Ooh.
Boros is a interesting color combination. I'm not a Boros fan.
Who are we? Was that Daniel we were talking to?
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel was talking about his
his
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Did he start playing in Return to Ravnica, or was it original Ravnica? I forget.
Return.
Oh, was it Return?
He was playing in RTR block.
Okay.
Yeah,
It would have been so cool if we're talking about this card.
Yeah.
It was like, that's my guild
Yep.
and the set I joined. We we were close.
Yeah, we were close. We were close. Yeah. So Lightning Helix is
Such a good card.
you know what? No, let's play that clip again.
Oh my God.
Lightning Helix. But dude, like those moments in tournaments are just
Huge.
they're so amazing.
Huge.
Like I don't want to say it's not a reason that I play these games, but like they just make them so much better.
Yeah.
They really, really do.
And so like we talked about a little bit about the history of the card, right? And we talked about exactly what it does. But now we talk about the decks that it can be in and how useful it is at that point now.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
It's played in burn because, well, it deals 3 damage like so many other spells of theirs. But when you're also playing against the burn deck, sometimes you need to play a little bit more control against them. So if they have a creature out on board that can deal a lot of damage to you, or you know it has potential to be dealing a lot of damage to you, you can kill it with the lightning helix, essentially stopping that damage that they do to you, and then also gaining 3 life as well. So now it instantly counters one of their lightning bolts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing when you're playing a control list, right? You need to get into those later stages of the game. So you having the lightning helix gives you back some life, destroying a creature as well. And then if you're playing Jeskai, if you're playing the lightning helix in a control list, it's probably in Jeskai.
Yeah, most
Then you
likely.
have access to the Snapcaster Mage as well, which extremely powerful card. Bolt or using the lightning helix and then Snapcaster allowing you to then use the same lightning helix from your graveyard.
Oh my goodness.
6 HP, destroying 2 cards, or you can start then using it as a clock. You could go
Yeah.
lightning helix to their face, deal 3, Snapcaster Mage, recast the Lightning Helix, 3 more to their life.
Okay.
You're gaining 6. And then if they don't have a way to take care of the Snapcaster Mage and they have no creatures, well, now that's 8 damage total from these 2 cards. Once the Snapcaster Mage gets in for 2 damage.
Right.
It's huge. Like, you can put some really good clocks on people with these very few cards.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. Yeah, and honestly, like that's one way of 100% analyzing these cards and their synergies for sure. So, anyway, that is this week's card of the week.
One of my favorites.
Lightning Helix is phenomenal. So. All right, well, that's all we got for you this week. Let us know how you thought of this episode. Did you watch that Here to Slay video? What did you think? We kind of had the comments were kind of split. Like, a lot of people were like, I understand where Jim's coming from. Some people were like, yeah, that's why I don't play games like that, or that's why we have certain rules, or whatever the case may be. So it was kind of split. But
before we started the podcast, I went on our YouTube to look at the comments to see if anyone added anything new. Okay, because I've been like super fascinated with the video, and then like reading all the comments to it. So.
Yeah, like it's stuff like that that's just fascinating to see how people think, because like we're 2 very different players and very different people, right? Yeah. And so we come at these situations from 2 very opposite standpoints, and then just hearing how other people take it and like think about it, because we have people who think somewhere in between, and then on the other sides as well. So it's always fascinating hearing about how other people think about these interactions as well. So all right, well, definitely let us know how you think. Let us know what your thoughts are. Do you have any other tips about dealing with people like this, or honestly dealing with yourself, right? Giving yourself tips on how to make sure you're having fun and enjoying your time at the table, and then while also ensuring everyone else is as well. Because honestly, at the end of the day, that's kind of what you want. And like, if you're with a good friend, you're gonna jab. You're gonna jab. Sure. And then at the end of the day, honestly, like, keep the onus on yourself, right? About having fun and just being a good sport. Really just be a good sport. So, all right, well, that's all we got. Jim, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter at JimMorganHNH.
You can find me on Twitter at _DGCampbell, on Instagram at Daniel.G.Campbell. If you head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com, you can find links to all of our social links there. Again, that's hobbiesandhappiness.com. That's all I got for you this week. Looking forward to next week. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Catch you in the next video. See you, everybody.
Take care.
You know what to do.